My name is Farina Tazijain. I will be presenting on behalf of my colleagues, Rosmaliza Mohamed, Muriato Kusma Musa. We are all from University Technology Mara, Malaysia, and also Dr. Gatot Sutapa, which we co-shared or co-written this paper from Universitas Tanjung Pura Untan, Kalimantan, Indonesia. The paper that we are working on is on online self-assessed language learning among second language learning in Malaysia and Indonesia amid COVID-19 pandemic. Before I begin, I would like to share with you our overview of our paper, which is the introduction, literature review, methodology, findings, and conclusion. For the introduction, I would like to share with you the scenario of COVID-19 of what happened in Malaysia and also in Indonesia. So the COVID-19 pandemic has actually forced academicians, teachers, learners, and also parents to adapt to a new educational context, which is online learning. So we are forced to change the way we learn because of the way we teach, the way we learn because of COVID-19 pandemic. So the closure of educational institutions due to the outbreak has led to unprecedented impact on the education. So in Malaysia, during the lockdown, the undergraduates are instructed to learn through online learning platforms. Whereas in Indonesia, in Universitas Tanjung Pura, Indonesia, the challenging situation has overcome during the COVID-19 that involved extra creative performance from lecturers, a live lecturing from home, and more from students, who not only have to adapt to new forms of learning, but also to face many other circumstances that change their learning experience. So this has forced for learners and also for educators to actually learn the digital tools and to become familiar with the tools. And at the same time, the support from the family and also from the structural institution has become a totally psychological functioning, which equivalent to a self-efficacy and feeling of competence and also achievement. So our research is grounded by using these four points from the literature review that we have actually done. So these four points, which are the implementation of virtual or remote learning, requires the act of technology and attractive teaching materials. To make learning more effective, learning institutions are more concerned with the teaching instruction, students' adaptation, and understanding of the lesson. Second, as most researchers like Kant, 2000, Milligan and Littlejohn, 2014, and Zimmerman, 2000 mentioned, in the online learning settings, where the structures of an online curriculum is mostly automatic, students have more flexibility in deciding when, how, and with what content and activities they engage. This flexibility requires students to monitor and adjust their behavior and actions concerning the specific learning context. Thirdly, a self-directed learner tends to actively engage in learning processes such as acquiring information, planning and evaluating the learning activities. Active learning strategies can increase student participation and improve the learning process and performance. By Freeman, 2014, and Yilmaz, 2016. However, not much empirical evidence is available to the extent of literature regarding the impact of self-directed learning in blended learning setting during the COVID-19 phase. So the objective of this research is to examine of second language learners' readiness for autonomous self-assessed language learning. Readiness here is defined as students' perception of their responsibility, that their teacher's responsibility, and their decision-making ability in disparate aspects of language learning. Another purpose was to find out whether or not there is a relationship between students' responsibility, perceptions, and decision-making ability. So the methodology that we use to answer the research question, which is what are undergraduate students' perception of self-readiness in language learning during the COVID-19 period, we have used Chan et al. 2002 questionnaire. So this questionnaire actually measures of four sections, which is the responsibility, ability, autonomous activities, and also motivation. However, for the purpose of this study, we only use two sections of this questionnaire, which is the responsibility and ability. So this is our research procedure of the study. So what we have done, we have gathered 141 university students from University Technology Mara Pulau Pinang and Universitas Tanjung Pura West Kalimantan, Indonesia to participate in our research. We have given them a survey via SurveyMonkey, and this is our quantitative collection data, and the results were 141 students in Malaysia and Indonesia. And this tests on their readiness of second language learning on e-learning during COVID-19 period. So the results of this research suggested that Malaysian and Indonesian second language learners have the ability to decide on some aspects of their language learning process, and the students' acceptance of the responsibility in some areas of language learning that is associated directly with their ability. The findings also suggested that students need more freedom to express their ability, for example, in terms of choosing objectives and activities in language learning process. It is necessary to consider the role of context and educational system as important variables which can facilitate or enter the development of autonomous behavior among students. So from the discussion, we have gathered four important aspects or emerging trends from this study, which is firstly, the students were ready to take responsibility for some areas. For example, identifying weaknesses, working harder, deciding what to learn outside the class, and checking progress outside class. Secondly, students were not ready to accept the responsibility for the following areas: deciding the objectives of the course, deciding what should learn next, and choosing activities and material to learn English. Thirdly, students have an average of ability to manage to learn. And lastly, there is a significant relationship between how students perceive their abilities and their responsibility. The perceptions of greater responsibility could lead to the perceptions of greater ability and vice versa. As a conclusion, this study revealed there is a need of more studies to investigate Malaysian and Indonesian students' perception towards other related areas such as the perception of their role as learners of English, their practice of autonomous activities, their motivation level, and their employment of metacognitive strategies in learning the language. The educational system in Malaysia and in Indonesia are changing, and the number of self-assessed centers in private institutes is increasing. So research studies of this kind would help universities and other institutes, both private and public, to be prepared before providing self-assessed facilities for their students before students' behavior is strongly influenced by their attitudes and perception. That is all from all of us, and I hope we have given some insights of self-readiness towards self-readiness of students towards COVID-19 pandemic. Thank you and goodbye.